Candles are already a really good gift, but let's try level it up, add another layer to it. So this candle has a little hidden message inside, whether you're saying happy birthday or I love you, or getting a message across in a fun way through this candle. My name is Rob Hode and I started this candle business called Hoadys. Let's just put a little badge on myself so you know. Hoadys is the original hidden message beaded. Hoadys is the original beaded hidden message candle, and I started this out not knowing anything about candles because I had a problem. I didn't know how to ask her out. I never asked anyone out before, so I decided to do it in a unique way. I started making these hidden message candles, and I thought I'd run you through today how we make them. Now, candle making is pretty straightforward, but I feel like you need a guide because there's so many factors and time that goes into making one of these candles. So let's start off with the jar. Now, most food grade jars should be fine. They are heat resistant, and it's important to have a heat resistant vessel because you're dealing with fire in a jar. Now here with my brand, we actually have two different sizes. This one's larger, as you could tell obviously. The larger one means you've got larger surface area to put more beads in. Now you can have any size jar, but you need the right size wick. Now I'd advise getting a powerful wick from a candle website because it's more consistent. And we'll get onto that in a minute. You want to get a glue dot or some adhesive like a glue gun and stick the wick to that. So then you can bind the wick and the jar together. This stops the wick from falling over and causing a fire. Now when it comes to making candles, it's important to have the right power wick because too little and the candle is never going to reach to the outer edges, but too much and you'll have a big ball of wax. So this step kind of takes a little bit of trial and error, but it's candle making, and I guess that's kind of the fun of it. You have to scientifically work out which one's gonna perform the best. The main part is wax. Now you can get wax from your local craft shop or a candle kit. Sometimes it's in granules, but sometimes it's just solid. We have the least aesthetic hammer here. I wouldn't recommend it because it can be dangerous to break wax. There's multiple ways of doing it, but sometimes you just gotta hit it really hard. The way we melt wax is with a double boil technique. So get yourself one of these pitchers or a smaller one. This one's a milk pitcher, and put it in a saucepan of boiling water. Once the wax is melted, you want to pour it 60 degrees. And you want to fill that about halfway. This is going to take a while to set. So here is one I've made earlier. These are wick holders. These keep your wick straight, but you don't need it. Or you could just use a lollipop stick or something along those lines. We'll get ourselves some beads. These are the beads we use. We use glass beads just because it's safer. When you put things in a candle, you have to be cautious about it and understand the fire risks. If I put this bead in this candle we've just poured, it just goes to the center. And gravity does its job, and you just can't line up any beads. That's because when the wax sets, it constricts, so we have to do one little extra job. Also, be careful when pouring wax because you could get it on your hands and it's kind of painful. What was that? So we just have to top this wax up to the top, and by the time it sets, it'll be level, and then we can start putting our beads on the fun part. We finally got there. The beads we're using have all been separated, which is nice and a lot quicker. And I know there's a lot of other brands that sell hidden message candles. You copied me, but it's okay. I'd rather people didn't, but fair enough if you do. If you are another candle maker, just make sure to make them well. You want to reduce the fire risk as much as possible, so it's best to test these candles and just make sure what you're selling is compliant. But enough of that boring candle talk. We're actually kind of a fun brand, surprisingly. Today we're going to keep it PG with the message we're going to put in here. I should also explain the tool we use to move these beads around is just a nail file. We've put some tape on the edge because it just kept filing our nails. What a surprise. But we use this just to... I don't know, I suppose I've always used it. It just has good control to it. It's minuscule taps, and the first time you do it, it is such a pain because it just feels like you're doing it with your left hand. It's it takes so much time to get used to. Every little minor hit of the bead, it can cause destruction. So I guess my hands are very practiced at this, which is a surprise because I usually have such shaky hands, but with this I'm okay. Now before we cover this, let's cover this. This is scents. So you want your candle to smell fragrant, and this is already scented wax, so I should have really gone over it then, but we'll go over it now. You want to work out how much scent you want to use. Now you don't want to go over 10%. Just because it changes the quality of the candle and how it burns. It is oil, so you don't want to put too much in there because otherwise it can pose a risk. So usually you would weigh this out, weigh how much wax you've got, and use a fragrance calculator online to see how much scent you need. This candle is just for myself, and I can kind of tell how much scent to use. Now the scent we use is lavender vanilla. I'm not quite sure why I picked it. I think it's because my girlfriend liked lilac. Anyway, this is the scent we've just kind of stuck with and people seem to love it, so let's just get our wax. And this is the tricky part. You don't want the wax to move the beads, otherwise you've got yourself a little bit of a hassle where you have to get a file and try dig holes in the wax so you can fit the bit. This solid wax that we poured in at 60 degrees is going to glaze over and your message is going to be hidden. Now this isn't the only step we do. Obviously, as a candle brand, you can't just sell it. I mean, you can sell it like this, but you want to add a bit of your brand, your bit of pizzazz. I've never said that word before, but we'll go with it. Here's our little magic touch. When I first made a candle, I wanted it to be a romantic gesture, so for some reason I thought, let's put a heart on it because it looks cute, okay? So I've just got these silicone molds, you could get them anywhere, and we've created a heart. I should have shown you how to make a heart, but it's pretty simple. You can go add some dye or not add dye, and then you just pour it into a heated mold. Now with this, you want to wait until the wax is solidified, but not too hard, but not too soft to the point where you're just going to go through it as soon as you put a heart on. Now if you do it if the wax is too hard, the heart is not going to bind to the top of the wax, and then you just got a loose heart flinging around. You can do that, but then as soon as the heart comes off, it's a bit of a nightmare. Now, there we go. We just got to do that. That's all we have to do. Now, for some reason, you guys like having a long wick. It doesn't matter how long it is. Well, it does actually. It should be short. I say this because people don't regularly trim their wicks when the candle is burning. Another boring safety announcement, but trim your wicks. It'll make the candle burn better. Because I'm worried about people not trimming their wicks, we do cut the wicks quite short. So let's just throw our lid on, and then we could get to the branding process, because if we sold candles like this, the longevity of the brand, well, I mean, I guess you could just sell candles like this, and if you're an amazing marketer, go for it. But if you're having to make YouTube videos to sell your candles, then let's do some branding. Now you can end up with wax all over your candle, so it is best to just get a rag and give it a clean. A rag doesn't sound very luxury, does it? What would be a better term? There isn't one. We've got this new Christmas packaging for a limited run of Christmas candles, and I actually think it's banging. So this is quite a long sticker, and we thought we'd just kind of change up the look of a normal candle. A normal candle, if you look at it, there's either a tiny little label or it's like brown, and we want to be a fun brand, so we went with pink. We got a lid label. That was a horrible noise. Now there are quite a few steps in getting to this stage where you can give it to someone. I think it's worth the time of making it, especially like a custom message where you want to say exactly what you want to say. But that is why we have our bigger custom candles, like I mentioned earlier, that lets you put more words in it. So if you are interested, check out our website. But I'd love to see you guys attempt these candles from the instructions I've given. And if you found this insightful, give us a like.